Hi, Francois. We're starting out in Spain, where that sky-high unemployment rate shows no signs of reversing. It was stuck at just over 26% in the last 3 months of 2013, with the number of job seekers hitting 5.9 million. The economy did manage to squeak out of recession last year. Initial figures show growth of about 0.3% for the fourth quarter. It hasn't been enough to create jobs yet, though analysts and the government remain optimistic. For the second year in a row, Toyota was the world's best-selling automaker in 2013. The Japanese firm said its overall sales rose 2% to 9.98 million vehicles and expected to top 10 million this year. Toyota beat out General Motors and Volkswagen for the top spot. The German Volkswagen has vowed to surpass its rivals by 2018. Staying in the auto sector, Nissan has rolled out its first GASHOAI model off the production line at the Sunderland plant in the UK. The firm expects to produce a new car every 61 seconds, with 300,000 expected this year. We're going to take a quick look at the markets now. Red across the board. Some disappointing manufacturing data from both the US and China has sent shares down. Wall Street trading in negative territory there. The CAC 40 here in Paris closed down over 1%. Nokia shares in particular plunged over 10% here in Europe, as the company reported a 22% fall in sales at its network equipment unit. We're going to turn to Davos now. Where our business editor Marcus Carlson is standing by. Iran has been center stage on day 2 of the World Economic Forum. Marcus, tell us what's been happening.
Absolutely, you're right, Kate. Hassan Rouhani, the Iranian president, was really the main act, so to speak, during day 2 of the World Economic Forum here in Davos. He gave a closely watched speech in which he said that Iran would open up to the rest of the world. At least he said that was his ambition. It was seen as a largely conciliatory speech as Iran is set to negotiate with Western power over a permanent nuclear deal. It was also seen as a play by Hassan Rouhani to try to lure investors into Iran at a time when the country needs growth and investment. And earlier I spoke to the president of Eurasia Group, the risk consultancy firm, about the economic part of Rouhani's speech. I put the question to him whether or not Iran is now rolling out the red carpet for Western businesses.
Not just Western companies, he's rolling out the carpet for anybody that wants to come in. Look, Iran is an economy of 80 million people. Women play a place in the workforce. It's quite educated. They have a civil society. It's diversified, but they also have large oil and gas reserves. So from an economic perspective, if sanctions are removed, this is a game changer in the Middle East. I mean, every CEO I've spoken to in the last 2 days has been interested in my views on Iran. This is a very big deal.
Okay, that was Ian Bremer speaking to me there earlier. Now, one other sector which is in the spotlight when it comes to Iran is the automotive sector. And for more on that automotive sector, I'm joined here by Michael Robinet. He's the managing director at IHS Automotive Consulting. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this evening. A lot of Western car makers, they're now looking at the Iranian market again, as we're seeing the prospects, at least, of sanctions coming down. Where do you think those Western car makers are in their efforts, so to speak, when it comes to going back into Iran?
Sure. So it's interesting. Western car makers have been in Iran for many, many years, but have certainly taken quite a step back. Automotive is very capital intensive. So you'll find some companies will take a little bit of a wait and see attitude when it comes to moving back into Iran. Really trying to understand, is the consumer going to be engaged? Is the country willing to support the industry? Again, there's a lot of capital involved in automotive, and it's a little bit of a wait and see.
Just a few years ago, we saw Western car brands sell hundreds and thousands of cars in Iran. Who do you think are the companies that are the most interested in the Iranian market, and who would be the quickest to go in?
I think the quickest to go in would undoubtedly be Renault, likely followed possibly by a PSA. And then others could be Kia, Hyundai, and possibly the premium German manufacturers, so Daimler, BMW, and others. But again, everybody's going to take a wait and see attitude, but I think that the French car makers will likely be first in.
What kind of potential do you think that the Iranian car market has at this stage? We've seen a lot of economic weakness over the past year or 2 years in Iran. What kind of potential does the market actually have?
Well, actually, Iran at one point was a million unit market, well over a million units. And that usually is a tipping point for a lot of vehicle manufacturers to really take it seriously. So if in fact the consumer becomes re-engaged in the economy and they really fill in some of that latent demand for vehicles, it could very well be a million unit market again, which would mean good times for companies like Renault or PSA or Kia or Hyundai if they decided to move back in.
I just want to talk a little bit about the European car market as well. 2013 was another year of basically negative figures when it comes to sales. It was the 6th year in a row that sales actually came down. Do you think that the European car market has now hit the bottom? Is it going to turn up in 2014?
Yeah, the European car market is a mixed bag. You've got the premium Germans and other, for instance, Volkswagen that did very well, and you had others like Renault, PSA, Fiat that continue to decline. So again, it's going to be a story of how quickly can some of those mass market car brands, a PSA, a Fiat, a Renault, how can they come back? And that's going to be really tell the tale. 2014 is going to be a better year, but it's a long road back.
So when do you think that we'll see sales back at 2008, 2007 levels? How quickly could that happen?
We're actually thinking it may not be towards the end of the decade that we actually get back to those types of levels. There's been a lot of structural change in the European market. And frankly, 2009 was a very good year because of the scrappage programs that many countries ran. Those countries don't have the same fiscal pockets that they used to.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael Robinet there from IHS Automotive Consulting. And with that, and from a snowy and cold Davos, I'm going to throw it back to you guys in Paris.
Thanks so much, Marcus. Stay warm there. We'll be hearing more from him and the rest of the team in Davos. If you have any special questions for them, you can tweet at #F24Davos. That's all for this business edition. Back to you, Francois.
All right, many thanks for that, Kate Moody and Marcus Carlson.